the team that's kind of taken over from the old Arsenal to become the clowns. You know, the perennial banana skin sliders. Everton. What do you think about Everton?
Great.
So bad.
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Yahoo Football League Weekly with me, Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And me, Yahoo editor Chia Keong, and him, back for a third time, Spurs fan Daryl.
Good day, everyone.
Now, Daryl, before we get into our many comments and get into your Spurs, what does it feel like to sit next to a bona fide celebrity over there who, thanks to this podcast, is now getting recognised in coffee shops? Am I right?
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I was buying coffee and then all of a sudden somebody came and said, hey, I watched your show, good.
Yeah, so we've got one.
Wow.
We've got one viewer,
only.
so that's good.
So we need more, but no.
We've got
one is good.
We've got one more viewer than the average Spurs performance.
Oh.
So coming in, Daryl, talk about Tottenham.
Hey.
Where are they?
1-0 Spurs, not bad. Harry Kane now joined all-time top scorer with Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah, not bad. So Harry Kane level with Jimmy Greaves, most number of goals for Spurs, and also I think 199 Premier League goals. So
That's
close.
fantastic.
I think it's up to third already. So just behind Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not past Andrew Cole already.
Yeah.
Past Cole
wow.
already.
Cool.
No, he'll pass all of them because he's still only, 29,
Fantastic.
right?
29 will be 30
Fantastic.
soon.
Right, so I'm going to kick things off by saying if Harry Kane doesn't win a trophy this season, he should leave Tottenham.
He's
And
saying
Why?
he's saying he's intending to resign.
Well, let's see. As a humble, observer and idealist, I personally believe, Daryl, that if Kane doesn't win a trophy this season, he should leave. And I'll give you one good example. I know footballers always say it's about the love of the club and they always have to say that. Tony Cottee, West Ham icon, Everton legend, played for many, many clubs. He cried when he finally won his one and only career medal, and it was a League Cup medal for Leicester City, if you remember, in 2000. And I subsequently met him, and he admitted it. All of the England caps, the adulation with West Ham and Everton, nothing comes close for a professional footballer than winning a trophy. And if Kane doesn't win one this season, his talent deserves to go elsewhere, maybe to Man U, and win one over there. What do you reckon, Daryl?
I think he will still want to stay and try to win it with Spurs, but you can see why it's getting close. He's like going to be 30. Spurs have come close, like a Champions League final in the league also, but just never won it. But the same thing with England. He went to 2018, right? Semi-final with England, and then the Euros 2020 final as well. It didn't pan out. So I mean, if he's gonna change clubs, then he should change and become French or something like that.
Change
French
nationality.
yeah.
But when you think that Harry Kane has probably got more chance of winning a trophy with England than he does with his club, that tells you how far Spurs have fallen down the
Do you
pecking
think
order.
they can do it FA Cup? They're against Preston. I think they should go through, but
Yeah,
if they
never
beat
know
Arsenal
to see how the FA Cup
What about the
goes.
Champions League? You're still in the Champions League, right?
But Champions League is so many teams, so difficult.
So are you
Well,
going to
we
win a
never
trophy?
know.
Come on, are you going to win a trophy
This season, yes, the FA Cup.
Well, even Conte said it in his press conference, didn't he? He said that Harry Kane, he won't care about the records. He will. He does.
Yeah.
But generally, he does care more about the trophies. And there's a very interesting thing here, Daryl, I wanted to ask you. The relationship is skewed. It's upside down at Tottenham compared to most clubs. Most clubs, if a prized manager leaves a club, the best players often follow.
Yeah.
In this case, it's upside down. If Kane leaves Spurs, Conte will probably follow. I think he's hinted at that already, right? So Conte is all about what are Spurs going to do for me? Are they going to keep Kane? Are they going to invest in the club? If they don't, I'm off. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, that's fair. And I checked with like a few Inter Milan fans, and they say Conte is like that, very demanding of the players he wants at the club for him to succeed. And at Spurs, he does have Kane and Son and a few other players, but he still wants a few more. And I think has less than 6 months left of the current contract, and he still hasn't signed an extension. So that's a worry for a lot of Spurs fans. I was just wondering, so is he staying? Is he not staying? If he doesn't fancy being in England or being at Spurs, then why don't he just leave and then we can get another manager in? But we also know personally, Conte has been through a tough few months his close friend, the trainer at Spurs passed on, and then Vialli passed on, Sinisa Mihailovic also passed on. So maybe personally also not the best of times for Conte.
And he's not with his family.
Yeah, family is based in Italy as well. So all this put together, maybe, he just wants to see out the next few months after the season ends. He may return to Italy or take some time away, I don't know. Because he hasn't signed an extension and then, you don't usually do that.
No. And it's North London. Who wants to stay in North London?
It's great, I've been there.
I was born there, so I can say this. Unless you have to stay there. I came here. That tells you everything. I came here.
But do you think he has been good for Spurs and Conte? Do you think he has, at least if he's really going to leave after like two or three seasons, do you think this 2 seasons has been fruitful?
I think if I were to evaluate Conte's performance, I would say I expected more. It seems he's not very flexible in terms of his formation and tactics. He's kind of just one way, and then he just needs all the players to fit into this jigsaw puzzle that he has. So maybe I expected more for him to be more tactically advanced in a way.
How much do you blame Conte? I think they overachieved with Conte last season. That's not a Champions League qualification team, but somehow he got them into the top 4. So you give him the credit for that. But as often happens with Conte's teams, they burn out. Son Heung-min, which I'm sure we'll get to, is a pale imitation of his former self. He looks exhausted, what with the injury in South Korea, World Cup and so on. So he's exhausted. Kane, fairly steady, but not as influential, arguably, as he was last season. Not so far anyway. But then also you look higher up, Daniel Levy, what's going on up there? There seems to be a certain inertia. Nothing much is happening at Tottenham at the moment, at boardroom level and in the dressing room.
Yeah, I think for Spurs, Conte did overachieve last season. But then to be fair to like Levy and the board, they did bring in new signings over the summer. So it's either,
Good sign.
And then like Richarlison came in, Perisic came in, and then we signed Jet Spence, but Conte doesn't want to use him or feels he's not ready for the first team. So it's a bit odd. You wonder whether some signings were made by the board just for the future, and then they were not really what Conte wanted. And then this season, I think it's been tough with a few injuries, and Son has been off form. I think Kane has been brilliant. With the number of goals, I think so far it's 16 goals already. It's just because Erling Haaland has gone on and scored like 25 goals.
He's not Erling Haaland.
He's a robot.
So you see Erling Haaland at the top, but then second is Harry Kane, and then Mo Salah. Mo Salah really has been shit this season, but like nobody's saying it.
Thanks.
Nobody's
very
saying
much
it.
for
Everybody is at Liverpool, so there's not much you can do
So
about it.
I think Kane has been doing well. Kulusevski was injured for the most part, but then now he's back. But Lloris hasn't been good.
He's been shocking. He's
poor,
made some terrible
poor
flaps this season. New keeper needed, you think?
We definitely need a new keeper. Someone, Dean Henderson. Maybe even Jordan Pickford might be better than Lloris at this
no
point.
chance. Anyway, no chance at all. But defence is the issue. I was looking at this before the Fulham game. 21 goals conceded in the previous 10 league games. So you averaged literally 2.1 goals a game.
And it's a shame.
That's shocking. That's relegation form.
I mean, they've won 11 games. That's more than Newcastle. But Newcastle lost once. They lost 7 times in the league.
So in the back 4, you've got relegation form. You cannot concede 2.1 goals on average every game. What's going wrong?
Well, I mean, for me, that's a typical Spurs with terrible defense. The strikers will try
Man
and
City
bail.
match, we know.
Yeah, the strikers will try and bail you out every week. But yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong with the defense. When you look at it, you have, Eric Dyer isn't great, but you will say decent, and then Ben Davies. And then you got Christian Romero, who's a World Cup winner. But when he plays for Spurs, he doesn't have he's not really outstanding. No real leadership comes through. He just likes to put in a dirty tackle and try not to get a yellow card for it.
Yeah. Well, the clue is there. He plays for Spurs. Nobody really cares if he plays for Spurs. But what do you think? Let us know before we move on to the other teams. Is he right? What do you think about Tottenham's chances? Can they make the top 4? Can Conte make it to the end of the season? Will Son Heung-min discover a pulse and start playing again? Let us know all your comments about Tottenham and other teams and send them to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo _MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Right. Now we move on to his favourite part of the show to talk about how fantastic Arsenal are at the moment. How do you feel about Arsenal, Daryl, before we get into it, as a Tottenham fan?
Yeah, so Spurs really aren't doing well, and then when you see Arsenal flying at the top of the table,
It warms the heart. It warms the heart,
just-
man.
Life steps
just
into
brings your
your
heart down, and you're like, oh my goodness, what season is this? Why? What is happening? What is wrong with the world? You know, every few weeks there is an Arsenal game, and like they play, you know, Spurs or they play Man United, and then you think like, yeah, they're gonna draw, or they're gonna lose, they will start to crumble. But no, they somehow still keep winning.
All right, let me ask you this, because this is the definition of a true blue supporter, right? I've often said that I wouldn't mind, no disrespect, I wouldn't mind if West Ham got relegated as long as they beat Tottenham during the season, right? Because that's how much that the hatred is between West Ham and Tottenham. What about you with Arsenal? So let me ask you this. Would you be happy if Tottenham didn't finish in the top 4 as long as it meant Arsenal didn't win the title? What would you have? What would you have? Come on.
In that scenario,
All the Spurs fans are watching now.
we'll take it.
You take which?
Yeah.
You take the title.
No, we will take Arsenal not winning the title.
There you go.
And we'll finish like 8.
True blue.
That's a proper
True
supporter.
blue Spurs fan. I would do the same if I was Spurs.
You would, right?
Yeah.
You would. Tottenham in the top 4 or West Ham. Yeah, it's not even a question for me. I'll happily take it.
Yeah, so it's been very odd. Like before, at the start of the season, Arsenal was doing well. Man City was thereabouts, and then leading close to the World Cup, and then we're like, why is Arsenal still at the top? So something wrong
and
with the
then Spurs
table.
were like-
Have they not refreshed the table? You know, usually when you refresh after 1 week, then Arsenal is in mid-table. But like they're still there, and then the World Cup is come and gone, and then now they're still winning.
They're still there.
they're still winning.
They're like a bad stain on the bedroom, bathroom tiles. They're still there. You can't shake them off.
So they've still been winning, and then the great players, the tactics work well, but I can't stand Arteta. I cannot stand him. What is wrong with him? He's not in the technical area. He's on the sideline. He's like either winger or like fullback or whatever.
Right before this podcast, I was speaking to a colleague who's a Man U fan. He said, the Gunners fans are beginning to be unbearable right now.
Yeah.
Just like Liverpool fans when they are winning the title a few years ago.
Honest to God, you have won every title in the last 5 years.
We are all unbearable.
but
we are becoming
Liverpool-
unbearable. And Arsenal fans will be saying like, oh, Man City, we have to beat us twice. No, we have to beat them twice.
And the guy outside is a Man U fan, right?
Man U fan.
So to all the Man U fans and Liverpool fans, you have dominated for 30 years. Arsenal have been top of the table
So we
for
know
3 months and they're unbearable already? Arsenal fans, don't listen to it.
in all
Enjoy your
seriousness,
moment.
in all seriousness, it was a superb performance.
Brilliant.
And you know, I watched my Liverpool draw with Chelsea, and it was supremely boring match.
Yeah.
And then the next day I watched Arsenal versus Man U, and it's like worlds apart. Arsenal was so intent on winning. And then they were swarming the Manchester United defense. Manchester United are not too bad either.
No.
But wow, even when Rashford scored the opening goal, you can see Odegaard was like telling the fans, "Come on,
yes,
we're gonna come back, we're gonna come back." And you know that match shows like clear sign that there's some belief. There's a lot of belief in the Manchester United, in the Arsenal team, that they want to go and get this title.
Absolutely. I wrote the column for Yahoo, which you can read on all Yahoo platforms. And I began it essentially how you're saying, that I felt that weirdly, Arsenal won that game when Marcus Rashford scored because something happened that was very un-Arsenal-like. There was no panic. The fear factor has gone. You know, you think of their famous title collapses. They had the one in 2003, I think, one in 2008. That was Arsenal. Arsenal with the joke. Arsenal with the banana skins. Let's all sit back and watch the latest Arsenal collapse.
And it would happen.
Yeah,
And it
was
always
so fun.
happens. It was so fun.
And then Arsenal fan TV and all this.
It was regular as clockwork. Then you watch, and the young guy at Arsenal, he'd scream and shout. And is it going to happen yet? Is the collapse going to happen yet? And I think that's been the issue with Arsenal. We have been waiting and waiting, and it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
It's not happening.
When they played Man U, I thought, this could be it, this could be it. But as you correctly said, Rashford scored, great goal, no panic. No panic. They just reassembled, stuck to their principles, changed the way they played slightly, no
And
issue.
even when Man U equalized for that second goal,
Never
Martinez,
panicked.
they never panicked. They bombarded Man U for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
They want to get the win.
And
they
it-
could have settled for a draw.
Correct. And even when Nketiah scored, there wasn't as I said in the piece, there wasn't unbelievable orgasmic euphoria. It was more of, yep, that's normal service resumed. That's what we expect. That's what we deserve. There's an expectation now that Arsenal are going to, I think they've done it 4 times already this season. They've fallen behind and come back and won. They're almost developing their own version of Fergie time now. You know, the Man U Fergie time, where Arteta time, that must make you so happy. So they've almost got this Arteta time now where they just come back and there's no real shock to it. And if you look at their players, I mean, you said to me, who's their best Arsenal player at the moment? I would go one step further. I think Arsenal's central midfield trio of Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard are the best, arguably, in Europe right now, but certainly in the EPL. It's not even close. They are the best central midfield unit in football right now.
And even unheralded players like Zinchenko, we always talk about Jesus coming in from Man City, but Zinchenko also came in from Man City.
Great signing.
He knew how to win the title. Okay, so you know, you can see him after the match. He was there screaming at each of the players, "Come on, come on!" I think that kind of feeling permeates throughout the team. I think, well, they will take a lot to stop them.
Yeah.
They will really. I don't think they will crumble, but it will take a lot to stop them, to even overtake them.
There's one slight weakness in the lineup that Rashford penetrated, and that is at their fullback position, right back. You saw that even Arteta spotted it. He substituted Ben White at half-time. He brought on the Japanese lad, Tomiyasu, and there wasn't that much improvement, really. So it's nitpicking, but right back is Arsenal's only real weakness.
And there's one more scheduling problem. They are still involved in the Europa League.
Yeah.
So Europa League plays on Thursdays, and you will plays on Thursdays. You got there's a very quick turnaround to weekend matches in the EPL when it resumes. So their team, we have all said along, is not exactly the deepest team in the league. So can they handle Thursdays and then Sundays matches, or even Saturdays matches for that matter?
Yeah.
That'll be a big problem for them when Europa League resumes.
And because of the weird World Cup scheduling, they still haven't played Manchester City yet, home
Twice.
or away. So they've got to play them 3 times if you include the Cup.
Yeah.
So 3 key games against Manchester City coming up. Blockbusters.
It'll be very crucial.
Can they do it? I think they can. I do take Gary Neville's point that he thinks Manchester City will still come good. But we've been saying that for almost 5 or 6 months now, and they're still transitioning slightly with Erling Haaland up front. It still hasn't quite gelled. But let us know what you think. Right, moving on. To the
from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, the team that's kind of taken over from the old Arsenal to become the clowns. You know, the perennial banana skin sliders. Everton. What do you think about Everton?
Great.
So bad.
I'm a Liverpool fan, so
It is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just go first on Frank Lampard, because Frank Lampard, of course, West Ham player, went through the academy. His father was a West Ham legend. Obviously achieved what he achieved at Chelsea. Frank Lampard is the luckiest man in management by far. He got the first job at Derby County because his uncle, Harry Redknapp, put in a phone call to the old friend of his who was the Derby chairman. And the Derby chairman was like, "Wow, such an atas name, you know, wow, Frank Lampard, okay. Even though he had 0 experience, he did an okay job at Derby, but nothing special. Then he gets the Chelsea gig because of his playing reputation. Didn't do much there either, but because Roman Abramovich was more worried about his yachts being impounded than he was about, you know, Chelsea's position, he was distracted with all the sanctions. He kind of got a longer pass, Lampard, than he would have done normally. He should have got arguably fired earlier. Then he gets the Everton gig because they're so desperate. They're like, wow, big name. Doesn't do anything with Everton. Arguably makes them worse than they were. I think that's got to be it now for Lampard, really. He seems to be going down that Roy Keane, Brian Robson path where your playing career gets you a few chances, but you can't live off it forever.
Yeah, I mean, but I also think that although I think Lampard is overmatched, I think he's not quite qualified for the top end job yet.
Not yet.
But Everton as a club,
Agree.
are
Basket
so
case.
badly run for the past 7 years since Farhad Moshiri came on. I mean, it's not even a surprise that they are struggling. They tried done some escape acts over the years, but you know, 7 managers in 7 years. That says a lot for a team that is waiting. There's a stadium waiting for them, and then this Moshiri has pumped in 500 million pounds, and still they are struggling so badly.
Yeah.
It's the Carragher said that it's the worst run team in the Premier League. I find it hard to dispute otherwise.
I agree. Well, I mean, Daryl, you're used to following a dysfunctional club. What do you think of this Everton debacle?
Yeah, so I think Everton and Spurs is kind of similar in a way of history.
They're both crap.
Kind of, they were great in their time. And, they were the first few teams in the Premier League, right? Yeah. Along with United, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Yeah, never relegated.
Yeah, and I mean... Yeah, Everton seemed to be steady at one point, but then after Moyes left, and it was very difficult for them, and a few managers came and gone, didn't work out. I think under Ancelotti it did work out, but then Madrid took Ancelotti back, and then Everton just started to spiral out of control. A lot of signings who didn't fit.
Yeah.
I think also they kept on changing the manager. Yeah. So then every time you change the manager, you want to bring in new players, and then you just get stuck with all these players who were bought by the previous managers.
And the manager doesn't want it, and then
and they had the owner who came in who was willing to spend also. So then it's like agents were pushing players, they were happily signing all these players, and now they're stuck. I think Moshiri is stopping. Or
now he says he wants to sell the club
after
7 years of mismanagement.
So now... So it's dangerous for Everton. They could go down because of this one bad season. And then if you go down with all the players they have on those wages...
Plus the stadium.
Yeah, plus the stadium.
It's going to be big trouble.
Yeah, it could be like a bit like a Portsmouth situation for them.
Two good points there.
Sad to see.
Two good points. The first one is Moshiri seems to be a very good businessman until he steps into a football club when it's run like a children's party, a birthday party. It's just chaos. They have no football structure. They've had no coaching, scouting, networking plan. Some of their signings, £500 million. I mean, Theo Walcott at the wrong end of his career, Fabian Delph at the wrong end of his career. And they're just some. There's been so many others. Neil Maupay in recent years, which was Lampard. So many poor signings. Dwight McNeil. It's such a weird list. Dele Alli is the one. I mean, they literally have an attacking lineup of non-goal scoring footballers. It's extraordinary. It's such a badly run club. They lost 8 of their last 10, and yet you didn't really see Lampard out banners. You saw Board out, Moshiri out, because they're just so mismanaged. So that's point number one. Yes, they've been completely mismanaged. I agree. Point number two is to me more interesting. They've put the club on the market. Everton is for sale for £500 million. I don't see immediate takers. Liverpool can't attract takers for the money they're expecting to get. You're in this fascinating post-pandemic, post-Ukraine, post-Russian oligarch-sanctioned situation where the only people currently available who can afford clubs at that level is Middle East.
Yep.
And you're looking at Qatari money, basically, or Saudi money. And then there's all the repercussions and issues with that. I think EPL clubs, because it's become the most profitable, most lucrative league in the world by far, you've priced out most of the Americans, most of the Europeans.
Most of the British.
The Russians are all sanctioned.
Yeah.
British, forget it. They're all post-Brexit paupers now, right? It's just Middle East. And the Middle East can't buy every club. They're going to be choosy. They'll come out for Man U maybe, and possibly Liverpool. Everton? Who knows? So he's in a really sticky situation where I agree with both of you that I don't think he's going to get the 500 million valuation met. He may have to take a cut to sell the club. And if he doesn't do it soon, Portsmouth. It could be a Portsmouth situation.
And okay, I mean, all of this, I just want to say a general view that, fans have been, last time they've been saying, change the players. Then they've been saying, change the managers. And now, increasingly, fans online are saying, change the owners. Whether it's Man U, whether it's Liverpool,
or even Spurs.
Whether it's the Spurs.
Yeah.
Once they're dissatisfied, they don't change the managers. They don't want to change the manager. They want to change the player. They want to change the owners. But be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Because with owners, they don't have any track record.
Yep.
When players and coaches, we have their track record, we know how good they were and then how good they can be for the club.
Correct.
But for owners, it's just money.
And EPL fit and proper test is still a joke.
Yeah. It's still a joke.
They may change it, but it's still a joke.
So you don't know whether they come in, whether they are going to be those hands-on kind of owners who will fiddle with every kind of decisions, or they just spend like nobody's business and don't care how how the technical directors work or whatever, and then you get a situation like Everton.
Yeah.
And it's really, really, it's not say repairable damage. It's sometimes irreparable damage that can be done. So I'm saying to fans, online fans, that, you know, there are sometimes Liverpool owners or even Man U owners or even Spurs owners make some poor decisions. That is par for the course.
Yep.
You don't wish to get them out and then don't have any backup to come in, and then, you know, Qataris get their own set of issues, and then be careful what you wish for. You look at Everton. That's what happens if you get a
Good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just add to that and say, football fans, you want upstanding, wholesome, valued members of the community like West Ham's owners who made their money in pornography.
Yes. Exactly.
So that's the kind of owners you want. Pornographic porn barons. And on that note, send all of your comments, not about pornography, but send all of your comments about Everton, his mob Tottenham, and can Arsenal win the league to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SCA on TikTok.
Thank you, Daryl, for coming in, and we will see you all in part 2, where we'll be getting stuck into local football. We've got a lot of comments to get through. See you there.